Tonight we are dining at Animators Palate on board the Disney Fantasy. If you don't know, we do dining reviews every single Monday, so be sure to check those out. Animators Palate is one of our favorite restaurants on the Disney Fantasy. Now, if you have ever been to Animators Palate on any of the other cruise ships, there's a good possibility you may have experienced something different. So on the Magic and the Wonder, you have a whole different experience in Animators Palate than you do on the Fantasy and the Dream. So if you've only been on those other two ships, make sure you come on these ships too. That way you can get the full experience of all that the cruise lines have to offer. But Animators Palate here on the Fantasy, the restaurant brings your artwork to life. So it is really awesome. When you sit down at the table, there's already a sheet there, and it's a special type of paper, and you're given a marker and you draw on it a picture. It's basically like a person, and then you write your name and your table number on there, and then later on you will see your artwork come to life on the screens in the restaurant. It is awesome. It's literally dinner with a show. So I'm excited to see our drawings up there later on. The whole theming in this restaurant is awesome as well. The chairs kind of look like Mickey Mouse. The little butter knives look like paint brushes, and the table numbers even look like a little paintbrush with a palette, and just the decor and all of here. It's all about animation. So it's really awesome. But the bread surface is here and we are ready to get started. So they're like...
There's my work of art. It's not much. Taylor's going with Jack.
The fingers don't look like how I want, and that's definitely more fingers or bones that are in a skeleton's hand, but...
The bread service tonight is a 6-grain bread, and if you've watched any of our previous videos, what's really nice about bread service is that every night they still serve you with a plain white roll and a whole wheat roll. So even if you don't really like the 6-grain tonight, and you want more white rolls, just ask and they'll bring you more white rolls. Or if you want more whole wheat rolls, they'll bring you more of that. But we've got our 6-grain, multi-grain bread tonight with a little tomato, sun-dried tomato spread with looks like some green onion, or maybe those are chives, and caramelized onions, I believe, as well. And it smells absolutely fantastic. It's a little bit acidic with the sun-dried tomatoes in there, and then a little savory with like those caramelized onions, and it's really, really fantastic. If you've been wondering about any of these videos or dining on the Fantasy, or you happen to stumble onto this one first, something that we haven't really talked about, but we should have at the very beginning, is that every night at dinner, the menu changes, except for there's always going to be at least 4 options that are pretty much going to stay the same, and what I kind of call safer options if you're just a little bit less adventurous. And every night, these are going to be what are normally considered on the lighter note, which is usually a slow roasted breast of chicken, a grilled grain-fed sirloin steak, salmon, and then usually some type of salad. Tonight it's a chicken salad, but most of the time these are going to be things that are a little bit more simple as far as like ingredients go, and not as potentially more adventurous as some of the rest of the menu. So keep that in mind, that there's always going to be something here literally for anybody, I think, to really choose from. And you really can't go wrong with a sirloin steak every night for dinner if that's what you want. Something else to take note of is that no matter what, there's always going to be gluten-free, dairy-free options or vegetarian options here for you to choose from. And if you do see something or you're a little bit concerned, just let your server know and they can talk to the chef.
Wow! Now that's what I call a colorful entrance. Oh, hiya, folks.
Look at the whole restaurant.
Oh, gosh. Thanks for all the great drawings.
For my appetizer tonight, I had the sesame crusted ahi tuna sashimi. This was served with a side of seaweed salad, pickled ginger, and wasabi. This was excellent. I love some good seaweed salad, and put on top of that ahi tuna, it was amazing. If you don't know, sashimi is raw fish, so this was raw tuna. This was more of a like sushi type dish, but
Thank you.
Very good.
For my appetizer today, I had the tomato caprese, normally a salad, but it's really just tomatoes and mozzarella. This is buffalo mozzarella, Italian Roma tomatoes, picked basil, drizzled with virgin olive oil. I think the only thing that I would like more of is just a little bit more of the virgin olive oil on there. It just gives it a little bit more of like a, I hate to say like a fattier feel, but like just how olive oil is. But it's really nice. Tomatoes were very fresh, and who doesn't love a nice clump of mozzarella to go with it? So very good, nice light start, and we should be getting our soups coming out very shortly. For my soup tonight, I decided to go with the lobster bisque. This is fresh lobster and sour cream. Not a lot of like lobster chunks in there, but there really never is in a true lobster bisque. I will say what was a little bit different was this was very red. Normally it's like more of like an orange color, but nonetheless very good. I think it was just really heavy, deep with the tomatoes. Maybe a little less kind of cream to go in there with the actual soup itself. But overall, really good, fantastic. The only thing that I should have asked for was more bread, because there's nothing better than like a little bit of like butter bread, and then you just like scoop all that up that's left over in the bowl. But very good.
For my soup tonight, I had the white cheddar and broccoli soup. Now, I was expecting this to be like a white cheddar soup with broccoli pieces in it. However, it was not. It was actually more of a puree as the soup, and I was very pleasantly surprised. For my entree, I had the roasted filet of beef Wellington. If you've never had a beef Wellington before, this is filet wrapped inside of mushroom stuffing, and then that is encased inside of puff pastry, and then that's all baked together. My filet was perfect. It was medium, and really nice medium. And then the mushroom on the outside, it's not like chunks of mushroom, it's almost more of like a paste, which is really nice. It just gives it that nice mushroom flavor. And then the puff pastry had a nice little bit of crispiness on the outside, and then all together was like the perfect bite. This was also served with a side of fingerling potatoes and baby vegetables, and then a Cabernet black truffle jus. That Cabernet black truffle jus was delicious. Every single bite I kind of rubbed my meat and beef Wellington around in it. It was so good.
For my entree tonight, I went with the roasted salmon steak. This is gluten-free, served with a celery puree, buttered savory cabbage, buttered Savoy cabbage, crisp parsnip chips, and truffle red wine jus. It was pretty good. The salmon was on the drier side. I'm trying to say it quietly so she doesn't hear me. And but other than that, I mean, it was fantastic. Combination of flavors here were really great. I loved having the parsnip chips, which are really more of like fingerling potatoes, but parsnip. And the cabbage actually gives it a nice crunch in there to balance out kind of that puree with the salmon. So really, really good. And the red wine jus was just nice. The truffle was not overbearing. It was super, super, super light in there. So really good. One thing that's really cool about being in here at Animators Palate is that while you're in here and you're kind of eating and dining and just socializing with everybody at your table, or in this case, just Taylor, you have a lot of animated classics that are being played around the room, and most of them all involve food because we're here to eat, which is really cool. But it's really cool to kind of see them really pull from the library of Walt Disney animation over the years, going all the way back as far as they can go for the most part. As long as it involves food, they're kind of throwing these clips up there. And not only that, but you also get to see kind of artist renderings of those clips. So they'll pop up on, not on the same screen as the video clips, but on other smaller screens, you'll see some of the drawings and things that was the concept art for the films. So very, very cool. Oh, hey, that's mine on the end. For dessert, which I did get something besides coffee tonight, I went with the celebration cake. This is layers of cheesecake covered with strawberries embedded in a rich vanilla cream. And it has almost like this, I don't even know how to describe it, almost like a fruit roll-up top to it that is a little, it doesn't just slice through with a spoon, but it adds a nice extra bit of like candied sweetness to it that the cheesecake doesn't necessarily have itself. So it blends really well together. And then of course when you scoop up that little bit of strawberry sauce, everything again, just really good. I wasn't gonna get anything and I'm glad that I did.
For my dessert tonight, I had the chocolate decadence. This is a chocolate lover's dessert. It actually does not really tell you on the menu what it is. However, I can tell that it's like a layer of chocolate cake on the bottom, and then it's almost like a chocolate mousse in the middle, and then a layer of chocolate ganache on top. Very good. Definitely for chocolate lovers. It's a little bit rich, but if you like chocolate, the overall flavor of this is wonderful. And then there's some like crispy pearls on the side and some other little raspberries and chocolate, and it was just a perfect way to end the night.
All right, everybody, so we just finished eating at Animators Palate for the first time during our Disney cruise on the Fantasy.
Yes, and it was a really good meal and a really great show. So I just love the whole entire experience at Animators Palate. Whenever you walk in, you just feel immersed into the restaurant with all of the decor and everything. And then while you're eating, actually, right as they bring the food out, they start playing the Be Our Guest song. And then it's like, oh yay, it's dinner time. And like it literally is dinner time. They bring out all the food right then. And then they play all those clips while you're eating. And then they have the actual show where your artwork comes to life, which is awesome. So you get to see your own. Your server will tell you if there's certain TVs you need to watch for your artwork specifically. So,
and something else, your server will probably tell you, but when they do this at Animators Palate, normally they want you to arrive earlier because it is a process to do the drawing, and then they have to get that into the computer and all that other stuff. So if you can, try to arrive to Animators Palate early on the night that they are doing the drawings. And your server should let you know the night before, but if by chance you're going to Palo or something else, Remy, you don't know, just try to show up early.
Now, I'm not sure what it's like on shorter sailings, but on the 7-night sailings, it's your second night at Animators Palate when they do the drawing show.
Yeah.
So we made sure that we were going to be here for the second night of our Animators Palate during our 7-night cruise. So yeah, it was awesome, but let us know if you have ever been to Animators Palate and which ship it was on and what you got to experience.